So competitive Flesh and Blood is about to become a whole lot more accessible. Silver Age, that's right, Silver Age is storming onto the World Tour starting in November, and we are totally here for it. You're watching Budget Format Fab on Dice Commando, your BFF for all things in budget Flesh and Blood. Coming to you midweek each week, these videos are possible thanks to the support of our channel members. If you want to get involved with the channel and join us on our community Discord, please consider joining as a member. You can be our BFF and show your support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving a comment. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my Flesh and Blood friends. So it is time to be excited because Silver Age is officially on the way. Now, probably the biggest part about this last week's announcement is that we finally do have full confirmation that Silver Age is actually the name of the format. Now, while I grant that over the last month or so, it's certainly been leaning more that way than not, right? But I myself wasn't entirely convinced that Silver Age was going to be the name of the format versus maybe like a name of a product supporting the format. But we have it, right? So Project Blue is dead. Long live Project Blue. Or long live Silver Age, however you're supposed to say that, right? Project Blue out, Silver Age in, and I will be referring. I've seen folks calling it Sage. I also like that, so that's where I'm gonna land at least for now. So Silver Age it is, which means that we can kind of move full steam ahead with rebranding of everything, and stay tuned for that. I still like budget format fab, so it gives me flexibility. But in terms of Silver Age and Sage, I'm working on getting everything branded. Now, look, in terms of the format itself, we knew that we were going to get word on this at Worlds in Philly in November, and it is still highly likely that, although the announcement did say more details in October, so we'll see about that, right? But it is very likely that the bulk of the information around Silver Age, maybe including product announcements or something like that, will still elude us until probably mid-November at Worlds, right? But with last week came, honestly, a pretty big surprise, right? So not only did we get event announcements for Silver Age, but it's actually World Tour event announcements, right? So 3 of them in particular are going to feature Silver Age. And it's not just like sometime in the future it's going to happen. We actually have scheduled dates that are happening very soon, okay? Like very soon. Now, to be clear, this is not confirmed in any way yet, right? But I also highly suspect that skirmish season in probably late November, early December, I highly expect that Silver Age Sage will be featured in skirmish season. Obviously, like I said, that's yet to be confirmed, but I'm really hoping that's the case, and I think it makes a lot of sense that it would be the case. And that's probably maybe why, at some point they have to get skirmish invites out. So maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit of an accelerated timeline here. But again, let's keep our fingers crossed for that. And again, like I said, I do expect to see some sort of product announcement probably for early 2026. But that's because if they're dumping all this other stuff going into Worlds, that's probably what they're going to tell us in Worlds, if not the format itself. But I suspect that, again, some of these are coming pretty quickly, like late November. So I think they're going to have to get people the format and the actual ban list and all that. So anyway, let's go ahead and go through the details as we know it. So the first one coming up is in Valencia. So that is the World Tour. Valencia is going to have Battle Hardened. That is Silver Age. So that'll end up being on the Sunday, right? So the November 30th. And then 2 weekends later, up in the Pacific Northwest, which is pretty awesome because I'm probably going to be able to drive to it. We also have a Battle Heart, so there's another World Tour weekend to accompany the calling. There will be a Silver Age Battle Hardened. And then Hong Kong, right in before Christmas on, that side of the globe, or your side of the globe, depending on where you're watching this from, 19th to 20th of December is also scheduled. And I think we can fully expect to see more. Now, it shouldn't be surprising to anyone that these are coming as battle hardened. So first off, I'm surprised. I am admittedly surprised that they're coming out this quickly with actual World Tour OP level events. I think it would have been fine to just go into skirmish season and run it that way and just collect more data, but they're going for it, right? Which is really, really, really exciting because it means that like we are all in on this. This is huge, right? This much support out of the gate. I mean, we've talked about it many times before that the coolest thing about the format formerly known as Project Blue, the coolest thing about that was that LSS seemed really committed to it. And this is proof thereof that it's true, right? So there is one thing to note though, right? Because these are battle hardens, which is I think what like paid probably the best we could expect for something like this, right? This is not like the 10 a.m. Commoner Goldfall switching to Sage. No, they're supporting this. And I think that's about the best we could have expected, like maybe like the most we could have imagined. Because remember that battle hardens are oftentimes used as testers, right? Not only for geography, but also for formats, right? We did one in Portland in November 2024. We did one in Portland. We did a commoner battle harden. It got over 100 some people, right? It was very successful. And I think, while we're not necessarily on commoner as a format anymore, I believe in my heart that the success of the commoner battle harden showed them that there is demand for there is demand for lower budget. People want to come play. I guess that's my point here that I'm trying to say, right? I'm probably not getting all the details correct. Like people want this stuff. You didn't have 120 people come out for commoner just cause they were there, right? People came out specifically for that. And then again, they can look and carve out the data however they do, right? But to the point again of what I'm trying to say here with these battle hardens being testers, these 3 battle hardens they have on are going to be probably with skirmish season, again, assuming, that's going to provide them a lot of data with which to decide to do this for 2026 and beyond. So if you believe in it, get out there and do it. Now, the accessibility of Flesh and Blood is about to explode because you can now play competitive Flesh and Blood for $20, $25, whatever range it is, right? There's not a lot of actual $10 decks anymore with, $1 and $2 rares, to be fair, right? But like $20-25 is pretty reasonable for a Sage deck. I think that's very realistic. The largest headwind, even stepping back from the actual logistics of the cost of Sage decks, right? The largest headwind we've had in Flesh and Blood over the last year or so, undoubtedly, has been the price of the game. And sure, maybe there's not Sage callings and stuff like that. But the fact that competitive Flesh and Blood is now, there's no gates to not no gate. There's a $25, $30 gate, whatever, plus the entry, right? But the entry of the event is actually a larger investment cost than the deck, right? So it is going to be very hard. To be clear, I know we're having kind of 2 parallel conversations here, right? And I'm trying to walk a fine line to not make people angry, right? Because we are here on a budget cast. I get it, right? But Flesh and Blood will continue to have very expensive cards and very expensive decks. But competitive Flesh and Blood will no longer be gated by that expense. Did I say that right? I hope I said that right. Hopefully you understand what I'm driving at. This is incredibly, incredibly exciting. And these 3 battle hardens, to my point about them being testers, we need to have all eyes on this and see how this goes. We have them in different regions, right? There's one in North America. There's one in Europe. There's one in APAC. They're getting all the things out there, getting the feelers out there, see how it goes. And that's just what we know about so far. This is incredibly, incredibly exciting for all of us. Whether you care about budget formats or not, it's still exciting for you because if people come in and they do the budget formats, they might get hooked on the game and then decide to start buying your singles on the secondary market or whatever, right? This is good for everybody. Thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. Super exciting. So anyway, folks, my rant is over. I'm really excited about this. Let me know if you are too. Nothing else, my friends. Go Commando.